Morning, dear students. How are you all guys doing? I hope you all are fine. And today we are going to learn about something that is very important to us, right? But before we can go there, I will just quickly recap for you whatever we have studied in our previous class. Okay, students? Yes. So, do you recall what we have studied in our previous class? We saw some movements in our hands. Okay, we saw about, yes, we saw about the muscles, right? We saw about the muscle fibers, like what are muscle fibers, what are voluntary muscles, what are involuntary muscles, what are skeletal muscles, what are cardiac muscles, what are smooth muscles. This is what we saw in our previous class, right? So in our today's class I will be teaching you about another type of animal tissue, and that animal tissue is really very important for all of us, right? That animal tissue is very important for all of us. So I will just tell you to look at this picture. Can you look at this picture, students? Yes. Okay, now take your palm like this and try to run your finger like this. Are you able to sense where? And close your eyes. Okay, let's close your eyes. Let's close our eyes. Okay, eyes are closed, right? Then just take your palm and point a finger at it, touch it, and can you like feel where your finger is going? Can you feel it where your finger is going without even looking at it? Yes. So how it is happening? That how your brain is processing, like, yes, there is something touching at that particular point, and what it is touching. Like suppose I have, now you see this is a piece of metal. Okay, now when I will touch this metal to my hand, it will give me a different sensation, but when I touch my finger to my hand, it will give a different sensation. So why is this happening? Is there some specific reasons to it, or what type of tissues are involved in this process? So do you know about this tissue, students? Yes. Okay. Yes, we are going to learn about the nervous tissues. Okay, students? We are going to learn about nervous tissues. Very good, students. Now let's proceed ahead. So, students, these are basically the nerve fibers. Okay, the cells of nerve fibers, the cells of the nervous tissue or the nerve fiber. It is called as the nerve cells. What it is called? It is called the nerve cells. Right. I will highlight it. It is called as nerve cells, or alternatively, we call it as neurons. Okay. What we call it? We call it as nerve cell, or we call it as neurons. Okay, students? Right. So the neuron consists of, when you will look at this picture, you will find that this neuron consists of a cell body. This portion, this complete portion is called as the cell body, right? And from the cell body arises these processes. Can you see these branches, tree-like branches here? Can you see this tree-like branch? Yes? Yes, students? Okay. Let me erase it. Okay. Right. So these tree-like branches that you are seeing here, these tree-like branches that you are seeing here, this is called as what? This is called as dendrites. These are called as dendrites, right? Okay. And from this cell body only arises axon, right? From this cell body a process arises, and this process is called as axon. Okay, students? Right. And this axon is covered by myelin sheaths. Okay, students? So this is the basic structure or the general structure of the nervous cells, right? So students, now tell me, what is a nerve? You might have heard like things like pharyngeal nerve, or things like facial nerve or cardiac nerve. This type of things you might have heard. So what is a nerve? So just think and answer, students. What is a nerve? Yes. Can you think about it? Okay. So Nerves are basically the collection of neurons. More than one neuron, right? More than one neuron interconnects between themselves and form a nerve. Okay, students? Right. See here, this is the facial nerve, this is the vagus nerve, right? So many of the nerve fiber, these are bounded together by the connective tissue, right? Which type of tissue is there? It is the connective tissue, and nerve fiber bounded together with the connective tissue, it forms what? It makes up the nerve, right? It makes up nerve. Very good, students. We have learned what? We have learned what is the structure of the neuron. Okay. We have also learned about what? We have also learned about the nerve fiber. And what is the nerve fiber? Nerve fiber is nothing but just a collection of neurons which is bounded together by what? Which is bounded together by the connective tissue. Which tissue binds it together? It is the connective tissue. Right, students? Okay. Now let's proceed ahead. Now, students, we have come to a quiz. Okay, students. So this quiz is for you, and the question here is: neurons have A, cell body, B, dendrites, C, axon, or D, all of the above. I am giving you 10 seconds to quickly think about it, and then we can answer this question. So your 10 seconds starts now. Yes. So the answer will be all of the above, right? The answer will be all of the above. We saw that there is a cell body, right? And from the cell body arises what? From the cell body arises axon, and from the cell body arises what? Dendrites, right? From the cell body only arises dendrites. So this is the basic structure of the neurons. This is a very rough diagram. Okay. Now let's proceed ahead. So students, let's do one more thing. Let's see, let's observe this picture. And what can you see in this picture, students? Yes, this is the brain, right? This is brain, right? And this is the spinal cord, isn't it? Right. So why is this brain and the spinal cord necessary for us? Have you ever wondered why this brain and the spinal cord is like very necessary for us? We always try to protect. The brain is like encapsulated in the skull, so it is being protected. So why it is there? Right, because it is the seat of intelligence. It is the central processing system of our body, isn't it? And same is the with the spinal cord also. Right. So let's study about the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, students, and the neurons associated with it. Okay. Right. So the brain and the spinal cord, these are all composed of what? These are all composed of neurons. Can you see these neurons here? These are the neurons, different neurons, and these different neurons are like arranged in a such a way that they make interconnections with each other, and in this way what happens? In this way brain and the spinal cord is formed, right? All the nerve fibers, all the nerves that is inside our body, not only the brain and the spinal cord, every nerve, each nerve is made up of what? Everything is made up of neurons. Okay, students, what it is made up of? Yes, it is made up of the thing called as neuron. And neuron is having what? It is having a cell body, right? It is having an axon, and it is also having dendrites. Okay, students? Right. So that is the thing about the brain and the spinal cord. Brain and the spinal cord, which processes most of our information. Like I am teaching you, you are receiving the information. So where it is going? It is going into your brain, right? And your brain is storing that information, right? And so that is happening via all these neurons only, right? So these neurons are there in the brain and the spinal cord, and not only in the brain and the spinal cord, neurons are present in every nerve or of our body. Okay, every nerve in our body is composed of neurons. Right, students? So now let's go ahead, and there is a question for you. So neurons are found where? Neurons are found where? First option, brain. Second option, spinal cord. Third option, nerves of the body. Or fourth, all of the above. I am giving you 10 seconds to think about this. Okay, students? Just think about this. I am giving you 10 seconds. Right. So what shall be the answer of this question? Yes, students? Right. The answer of this question is all of the above. Neurons are found in brain also, it is found in spinal cord also, it is found in the nerves of the body also. Right. Now, let's see about something called as the nerve impulse. And what is this nerve impulse, student? Just look at this picture, okay? Just look at this picture for 10 seconds and try to find out what you can really look in this picture, okay? Just try to look at this. Observe this picture, okay? Right. So we are seeing an electrical signal passing from the cell body to the through the axons, right? And here you see another cell body is here, right? So the cell the information or the signal is passing from one neuron, this is the second neuron, and this is the third neuron. So information is passing from 1 to 2 and to the third neuron, right? So this is called as what? So this is the thing that we are going to study now. Okay, students? Right. Now we are going to learn about the nerve impulse. Okay, students? So, students, we saw that in the previous video or in this picture also we can see this is the first neuron, right? This is the first neuron, this is the second neuron, and this is the third neuron. And the signal or the electrical signal is passing from the first neuron to the second neuron to the third neuron, isn't it? This is the pathway of the signal that is happening, right? So it is the electrical impulse or the nerve impulse that is passing through this nerve fiber. So what is nerve impulse? So nerve impulse is the electric signal, right? So the nerve impulse is the electric signals that pass along the dendrites. These pass along the dendrites, right? You can see here in this picture, it is passing along the dendrites, okay, and generate a nerve impulse or an action potential, right? So these electrical signal pass along the dendrites to generate a nerve impulse or an electric potential, right, students? Is it clear till here? Shall we move ahead? Okay, right. So the nerve impulse allows us to move our muscles when we want, right? So suppose that if I want to lift my hand, right? So what will be happening from my brain? What will be happening? The signals will be coming out from one neuron to the another neuron to the another neuron to the another neuron until it finally reaches my this muscle, and then it will cause a contraction in this muscle, right? So the nerve impulse is what allows us to move our muscles whenever we want. Okay, students? Right. Now you see, it can we just survive upon the nerves or the impulse? Is the nerve impulse only sufficient to produce any movement in our body? Yes, students? No? Okay. So the functional combination. So the functional combination, it means that we need to have some sort of integration between the nerves and the muscles so that what will happen? We can do some type of movements, right? So the functional combination of nerve and muscle tissues is fundamental to most animals, right? the functional combination of nerve and muscle tissues is fundamental to most animals. Okay, right. Now, what this functional combination does, students? This functional combination enables the animals to respond rapidly to the stimuli, right? So suppose that if I'm going to throw this piece of metal at you, right? So what you will do? You will flinch, right? You will flinch. So what is happening? You are sensing this thing coming towards you, and when you are sensing, your brain interprets it and tells your muscle, tells your body that okay, you need to get out of the harm's way, right? You need to get out of the harm's way so that this thing that is coming towards you, it will fly right past you and it will not cause any hurt to you, right? So there is a integration between your nerves and also an integration between your muscles, right? So the nerves and the muscles together, this enables for the functional combination, right? Okay, students, have you understood this point? Right. So now let's move ahead. So you need to define what is nervous impulse. Okay, students, you need to define what is nervous impulse. So nervous impulse is nothing. It is basically a stream of current, or we can say an action potential that is passing from one neuron to the another neuron by the help of dendrites, right? So that is the nervous impulse. Okay, students. Now let's attempt the second question. Animals can respond rapidly due to what? Does it respond rapidly due to only nerves or only muscles or both or none? Okay, students, tell me what is the answer? What will be the answer of it? Animals can respond rapidly due to nerves, muscle, both or none. Yes? So the answer will be both. Okay, students? The answer will be both. There needs to be a functional integration of nerve and the muscles. Okay, students? Right. Let's move ahead. So, in our today's class, what we have learned? We have learned about nervous tissue. Okay, we have learned about nervous tissue, right? And so, let's answer some of the questions. So, what are the parts of nervous neurons? What are the parts of the neurons? So, the parts of the neurons are first cell body, second dendrites, and third is what? Third is axons. Okay. So cell body, dendrites, and axons. Right. So what is the structure of neurons? Who will draw? Let's draw the structure of neuron. So first of all, there is a cell body, right? And from the cell body arises axon, right? From the cell body arises axon that ends in this type of branched thing, right? These branch structures, and in the cell body also there are a lots and lots of what? There are lots and lots of dendrites, right? There are lots and lots of dendrites. Okay, students, right? So this is the cell body, this is the axon, and these are all what? These are all dendrites. Okay, students, so that is it. So let's attempt another question. Justify the following statements. Neurons are the reason we and sense, feel, sense, and function as humans. So, is this a statement? How can we justify this statement, students? Right. We can justify this statement because our brains, our spinal cord, all of our neurons, all of our nerves, these are made up of what? These are made up of neurons or the nervous tissues, right? Okay, students. So our brain is the seat of intelligence and it functions because it is made up of neurons. So because of the neurons only, we can feel, sense, and function as humans, right? Okay. So the next question here is write the location of neurons in the human body. What are the different locations of neuron in the human body, students? Yes. Okay. First one is the, we can write first one, brain, then spinal cord, then all the nerves. These are all made up of what? These are all made up of neurons, right? And how does the process of conduction takes place? How does the process of electrical conduction takes place, student? Yes, the nerve impulse, which is actually an electric signal, it passes along the dendrites, right? It passes along the dendrites, and what it does, it generates an action potential, which allows it to move to our muscles when we want. This functional combination of muscle is fundamental to the animals. So the process of nervous impulse conduction is very important for the animals. Okay, students? Right. So now we have reached the homework section, and in this homework what you need to do, you need to prepare a chart showing nervous tissue, mentioning their function and location inside the human body. Okay, and after that you need to describe the importance of neurons. Okay, so that is it for today's class. So thank you everyone for joining this class. Have a nice day.